here with Chad Kirchner from Future Motoring, and we are in one of my all-time dream cars, and that is the Focus RS.
And we're following a Toyota Camry doing under the speed limit. So
that's true. So we're currently in sport mode. Now the car has a couple different modes. It has normal mode, it has sport mode, track only mode, which you can use on the street. Just don't tell anybody, and drift mode. But we're in sport mode right now, and what sport mode does is it retunes the throttle response a little bit, as well as opens up the other exhaust baffles, so you get the pops and burbles in the back that are famous on the Focus ST, or Fiesta, or Focus RS, sorry. We've been talking too many cars lately, and they're starting to blend together. We've had a lot of fun talking cars today. So, how much horsepower does this thing put out here,
it's 350 horsepower, what, 350 foot-pounds of torque? I think it's 350 and 350. Which
is pretty impressive. This is the 2.3 liter, so it's basically the same engine that's in the Mustang.
No, it makes more power.
But it makes more power. Now, I had a 2.3 in my Mustang. It's an 84, and it produced a whole 80 horsepower. So now I'm in a 2.3 powered Focus that produces probably about more horsepower than my V8 powered Mustang does today. So
if you've driven a 2.3 Mustang, one of the new ones, one of the things that I've noticed, sort of not necessarily back to back, but I've been in one recently, is the turbo noise itself is louder.
In the Mustang?
No, in this.
In this, okay. All right,
now, obviously, yeah. I mean, it's making a little bit more boost to make that extra power and stuff, but it sounds, you hear more of the turbo-y goodness in this than you do in the Mustang.
Good. Yeah, I've never been in the new Mustang, but I say the sound of this car is incredible.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. The sound of the turbo, the sound of the intake, the sound of the exhaust, especially in sport mode, I consider it to be perfect. It's fantastic.
They are doing the whole resonator thing in here, like they do in the Focus ST and stuff. It's not going to pipe through the speakers, but it is maybe
the sound supposer.
Yeah, it's artificial in that it's not. It's artificial, but it's not running through the speakers.
Right. It's it's being piped through the intake and out to it.
And you can still hear the exhaust pretty good in here. Yeah. I had a passenger the other day in the back. We were talking about listening to the pops and crackles and stuff, and somebody noticed that they only ever really kind of hear it at the right side exhaust.
Really? Okay.
Which was kind of weird. I mean, obviously it's not a true dual exhaust, but
correct. One side is baffled, and it only opens up in sport mode and above.
Right.
Well, I guess what surprises me is that from reading from a lot of the reviews and everything, it makes it sound like the thing pops and burbles and crackles and makes all sorts of racket all the time. And it's actually not the case. It really, you're lucky to get 2 or 3 pops out of it, like we just did there. I love it, but yeah, I envisioned it more like a WRC car, like an anti-lag system. It's not like that.
In a car, again, I mean, people watching this, if you search on YouTube and look for wet paint.
Wet paint. Oh.
If you do a search for Jaguar F-Type videos, whether it be the 6 or the 8, like you'll know that it cracks and stuff all the time. It doesn't do it like this in this car, you know. A Boxster and whatever will also crackle and stuff a little bit more. Obviously, all that's computer programming.
Right.
I kind of wish that it had more of the pops and crackles when you were in like the sport or the race setting.
Yeah.
I like that it kind of all shuts up in normal mode.
Normal mode is actually very normal.
Because maybe you don't want that, or
right. Let's say you're coming home about 2 in the morning or something. You'd rather not get an angry letter from your neighbors.
Yeah.
Normal mode is actually good for that.
Yeah. So I would like a little bit because you can kind of control so much of that now with the computer and the baffle and the automated baffle and stuff in the back. I really do kind of wish there was a little bit more noise. Not that it doesn't sound bad. It doesn't. Just I like pops. I like the car sounding like it's broken, and this one doesn't.
Yeah, I want it to sound like a rally car, and to me, rally cars have always sounded like they're broken, and I love that.
Right.
Now, one question that I always get, in fact, for full disclosure, my dad has an RS on order, and one of his big worries, and it comes up all the time, is how rough is the ride? This is where I think we're going to have a little bit of interpretation of what is rough here. So, Chad, go first. What do you think?
So, what I would say, I mean, if you're coming from. If you are definitely coming from a car with a modified suspension, so, you know, whether you've put coilovers on it, whether you've done something improper and just cut springs, which you shouldn't do.
Yeah, don't do that. Or heat them up, even worse. Don't do that.
You know, or put spacers in or whatever. Like, then, this will feel smoother. On decent roads, I don't think the ride's too bad. I'm obviously a little bit larger than Brian, so the seats fit a little different for me. I feel more comfortable in the seats now than I did on the first day that I had it. But I think for a car that you drive daily, I think that it might be a tiny bit rough. I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be, but there are definitely some roads that I've been on where it's been unacceptable. The ride's been unacceptable.
Yeah. You came out around the Detroit, the Toledo area. You said that was rough. We're in West Michigan right now. The roads are a little bit better than they are in a city environment. I come from an environment of cars that all have modified suspensions. I've modified every suspension I've ever had. Me and Turkey here. So let's use these Brembos here real quick, because otherwise, if we keep going straight, we're going to run out of road, which is great for drift mode and for the rally sport heritage of the car.
But we just watched the car.
I just got done watching and we want to take some pictures of it. We're not going to do that. So, in my opinion, normal mode, sport mode, and track mode, I didn't find the suspension to be all that rough or abusive. I actually found it to be very comparable. My Fiesta ST has the Montune suspension on it. I found this to be actually a little bit smoother than that. I really like it, but also I have a Mustang that has full Maximum Motorsport suspension that is 4 times stiffer than stock. So put that in perspective.
The Golf R is smoother.
Okay, and I've never driven a Golf R.
The Golf R is smoother. It's been a while since I've been in an STI, so it's kind of it's hard for me to remember, a good comparison. Though compared to the STI, this interior is way nicer.
Yeah.
Subaru is doing better.
Whoa.
That is interesting.
Well, we just, if I was the co-driver at this moment in time, I'd be yelling to the driver, "Water splash!" The camera's facing the other direction, but we actually have a flood in front of us, so we are going to turn around now. We talk about things we may not like about the car. I have very few things, but Chad, you brought up a good point pulling into a parking spot yesterday, and we're going to run into this today. What do you think of the turning circle?
The turning
here?
radius is terrible. It's probably one of the worst cars that I've driven.
Yeah. We're going to end up doing like a 20-point turn here to get around to avoid this flood here.
At least we have power steering, unlike the Alpha 4C, which kind of has bad turn radius plus no power steering. But
at least it is well assisted.
I was at Costco the other day, and there was an open spot at the end of an aisle, and I needed to kind of do a big loop to come back to it, and I didn't make the spot. In any other car, I would have made the spot in.
Yeah, we had a similar problem last night pulling into a parking spot. There's a pothole, I think, somewhere up here.
You probably don't care. Like, you're not going to care. But in the business of, car doing car things, probably could be a little bit better for that.
Overall, what is you've driven the car up from for quite a while now? What do you think of this thing overall? What's your final thoughts on the Focus RS?
If you are undecided in hot hatch land, I don't know who would be. I probably would go drive a Civic Type R.
Okay.
Because I've heard that on track, I've heard that it feels a little bit better. A little less weight is really kind of where.
This does feel heavy, even for the passenger seat. I can't drive it. Obviously, I'm only riding shotgun.
This is 300. This is about 300 pounds heavier than the Type R, I believe.
Okay. All right.
So there's that. I like it better than the Subaru. If you want the Focus RS, there's nothing in this car to not buy it. There's no reason to not buy it.
Okay.
Nothing surprising, nothing sort of anything like that. If you are unsure of which hot hatch you want, I'd probably go drive the
Type R,
the Civic Type R.
Okay.
The Golf R, good car, comfortable car. Me personally, if I wanted to drive any of these hot hatches, like I want something that kind of looks a little hot.
Yeah.
The Golf R looks like a Golf, and you may like that, and that may be
the more subdued look. That's not bad.
What you're drawn to. This is definitely faster.
Okay.
Subaru, well, you can't get it in a hatch, so.
Yeah, and what's put on a hot hatch that isn't a hatch, and it's just a sedan.
Right.
I don't want that. I would never. Sedan to me just acts like you just given up on the world. So.
If you don't care so much about that, I do think the STI does sound pretty good.
The Boxer, that sounds like a rally car.
Yeah,
always,
they do some brake-based torque vectoring, which works really well. Okay. The all-wheel drive system in this is a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, of course it is.
I don't know. I think drift mode is a gimmick. I think it's,
we're obviously not using drift mode
at
all on this road test.
Right. I think it's a little gimmicky. We'll try it tomorrow on the autocross and kind of.
All right.
We'll
find out how that goes.
But if you want an RS, you're not gonna. There's no reason to not buy it. If you're unsure, maybe go drive a Type R. But with people asking, anywhere from my local dealer wants 3,000 over sticker to to some places wanting 10 or 15,000 over a sticker. It's not. No.
No, I don't think so. It is either.
No. And I wouldn't pay over sticker for this either. Like if you
Nope.
walk into a dealership and they're like, well, you know, Golf R is getting 3,000 over, whatever. No, just don't
just walk away.
Go somewhere else, because I mean this is a pretty expensive Focus. It's a very nice Focus. It's a very well put together Focus.
Yes.
It definitely feels like it was assembled by the Germans, and it was. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
It feels significantly different than the regular Focus and the Focus ST, which is I did not expect it to be as different as it is. Now for me, I fall a little bit more probably closer to the RS fanboy club. I've wanted a Focus RS since 2002, and finally get a chance to at least ride in one. And I have my RS shirt on from Blip Shift, so my opinion is going to be probably a little bit more, I guess, slanted. But coming out of a Fiesta ST, one of the things I worried about was, would this car make my Fiesta all of a sudden seem completely obsolete and pointless? And it doesn't do that. There are two very, very different cars, very different feeling, very different attitudes. This car is very grown up. This is an adult car. You feel more like an adult. I'm not saying maybe you show up, for me at least. This is as adult as it gets. You remember my Mustang has a roll cage and Kevlar seats in, and I consider that to be okay.
Fair enough.
You're probably not going to pull up to the country club in this and have it really be accepted. But then again, why are you doing at a country club with an RS anyway? You should be out doing fun RS things.
And to be fair, I don't think golf clubs will fit unless you lower those rear seats, because
that's true.
Because the all-wheel drive system actually kind of cuts into the rear.
It does. It does cut into there a little bit.
Which again, you don't have to worry about with the Type R, because again, it's only front-wheel drive.
Right.
I'm a little of an RS fanboy. Like I'm not as much as you.
Probably
are.
not. No. But
I really do like this car. I really do. I don't want to poo-poo on it too much. If you're gonna live with it every day, some people may find the ride a little harsh. I don't think it's as bad as some of the internet stuff that you see.
Nope, I would agree with that.
But there are some roads where it is completely...
Yeah, we went down some yesterday in track mode, and it was pretty rough.
Yeah, there are some roads...
You should have been on track mode in that road anyway, but we wanted to get an experiment. What would it be like? You wouldn't want to live with that every day, and I could definitely see in a big city environment, this suspension would be a little bit of a problem.
That all being said, if you are a fan of slow car fast, just save all sorts of money and buy a Fiesta ST.
Yeah, and actually I'm a huge...
Or Miata.
Yeah.
Because again, this car, the capabilities of this car, there are some fun things about it at speeds that don't send you to jail.
Yes.
But you can still very quickly, 350 horsepower gets you in to go to jail territory pretty quickly.
Faster than the Fiesta can, but this by no means made my Fiesta feel obsolete and feel like I bought the wrong car. This just makes me realize that a lot of the rally heritage that I have always thought an RS should be does exist in this car, but you can live with it every day.
You can.
It is enjoyable. The car is more grown up, more mature than I would have expected it to be. It's not as harsh. It's not as wild. It's a little bit more of a normal car.
It's probably a hoot in the winter. Put some snow tires, some blizzards on this, and I bet it's a blast.
I would agree. So tomorrow we're going to take this thing autocrossing.
Yes.
Chad's going to be running it. I'm running my Fiesta ST. We're going to compare some lap times. I won't be able to drive this one, but there is one coming here in a few weeks that I will be able to drive, and please stay tuned because I'm going to have all sorts of videos on comparing and contrasting the Fiesta ST and the Focus RS. Overall, I love the car. I love all the noises it makes. I don't regret not buying it. I hope maybe someday to pick one up used when the Fiesta is due to be retired.
Hopefully you can find an unmolested one.
That's going to be difficult, so maybe my dad will be done driving his and then I can buy it from him.
Well, there you go. You're pretty much going to make his car what you want anyway. So.
I may end up doing that, but we have good taste. But no, overall the car is very impressive. I like it a lot more than I thought I would, but I don't feel bad that I bought the Fiesta instead of waiting for this.
I don't feel like this car is $15,000 more than a Fiesta.
Right.
I'm sure there's 15 grand worth of technology in this car that justifies 100%. The price.
But for 15 grand, I can do a lot to my Fiesta.
As a fun, you can ruin it too. As a fun daily driver, this is a fun daily driver. The Type R is a fun daily driver. The Golf R is a fun daily driver. Fiesta ST is a fun daily driver.
Yes.
So, I mean, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you have your heart set on an RS, there's no reason to not buy this car.
You will not be disappointed
if you want
in this car
If you want a car in this class, and you're not completely set on the Focus RS, drive the competition. They're all good in very different ways. but they're also very different personalities. This definitely has a different personality than the STI. The STI definitely has a different personality than the Golf R.
Yeah.
Haven't driven the Type R yet, but again, from what I've heard, it's actually pretty comfortable for the normal sort of the daily driving. So there's all of that.
We live in a really great time right now because there are a lot of really great cars in this category, depending on what you really want. For me, it would be the RS.
But I mean, a Fiesta ST right now. I mean, nobody's buying Fiestas, so you can get a good deal on one.
Yes, do it before they're gone, because I'll tell you what, that's another car you won't be disappointed. You save a lot of money, put some work into it, and guess what? A couple calls to Montoon, and you can have pops, crackles, and all sorts of racket coming out of there, or any of the other manufacturers that do it. So you can do it.
It's really hard. Like again, you slow car fast. If you want to go to a track and things like that, yeah, this car's going to be better.
I would agree. Yeah.
On a normal city street where speed limits are what they are and where traffic is what they are,
you have a lot of fun with the Fiesta.
You can have a lot of fun with
why don't we back out of this parking spot here? We got a nice backup camera that we'll be able to use here. And why don't we go out on the street real quick, and to wrap this video up, why don't we do a nice takeoff and listen to the car?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so here we are. We're actually gonna go into launch control, and Chad demoed this for me yesterday. It takes a little bit of menus to get into it, but I'll tell you what, it's the most incredible thing I've ever really experienced. So, all right, feels like I really should be counting down pace notes when we do this, like, you know. So we're gonna
we'll have to do a video of this outside the car too. So you get the whole.
Yep. So here we go. We'll go into driver assist, then we go into launch control, then we go 3, 2, 1, and go. Good gracious, this is incredible.
And then second gear is good for 60 miles an hour. So
woo!
I mean, you pretty much then are at the speed limit in most parts of the country, you know?
Right. So yeah, that's launch control. It is impressive. There's no doubt about it. The car overall, I really like it. Chad's saying, you know, the more he drives it, the more he likes it as well. So keep your eye out for his review. Is going to be coming out here shortly. Subscribe to the BRGT350 page, because we're going to have a lot of RS content coming up, as we have an RS coming in hopefully later this month. We got a lot of big plans for it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you got any questions, and we'll do our best to try to answer them.